Okay, so let's now continue with filling in the rest of the method. What should we do with say your name? Print the name, okay. Yep, makes sense. So tell me what do I need to write? System dot out dot println my name is, say hi. Hi, my name is name. Okay? Question about that one method. Easy. Okay? Okay, next one. Now, next one is quite tricky because you will learn a new keyword. Okay? So count your money. What is the intention of, if I send this person object a message, hey, tell me how much money you have, right? So what this object should do in response to that request?
Tell you how much you have.
So how do we do it? Are we going to print again? Okay, I have money in pocket, in my pocket. Okay, apparently that line is too long to avoid wraparound. You want to break that statement into the next line. Okay? Yes. Sorry.
If you didn't have, would you want to put a $sign in there because of
Yeah. So maybe I want to use decimal format, right? Number format. Okay? To print the currency amount using like a dollar sign. Maybe I want to use the decimal format or number format. Okay? So, well, you know how to do it. Okay, I'm not going to put the logic in here. Okay? Because you know how to do it from your lab last time. Now, look at the red keyword here. It says void, and the other one is float. What is the difference between one and the other? What is the difference between say your name and count your money?
A void doesn't return value, but float will.
Yeah, float means when you send this request to that object will give you back something. Okay, this is an example of a two-way kind of request. Okay, I send a message to an object, that object in response to my request, that object will give me something. Okay, but this one here, this is an example of one-way request. I just ask a person to say something and I don't expect anything from that person. Okay, so see the difference between the two? Okay, so now whenever you see non-void as the return value, so we know that this is the return value or return type, so that means this object will give you back a data of type float. Okay, and this when we send a request, say your name is not going to return anything to you. So for that reason, I have to say return something. Okay, now the question is, what do I return?
You don't have to return anything, do you?
Hmm?
You don't have to return anything, do you?
We have to.
You have to.
We have to because the return type is
Because
non-void.
I've seen returns that are just, it says return and then it's the semicolon, there's nothing after that.
Good point. I will talk about that next. Okay? But here, I need to return a number. Why? Because we promised that count your money will return a floating point value. So in this case, what we want to return is, well, what does it say? Hey, tell me how much you have. Right? So what should I get? Money in pocket, exactly. Question? That's the more important statement for this method. Okay? So now returning something is the mechanism used by an object to talk back to you. Okay? So when I get something from that object, that data is now a floating point number. Okay? Question? Yes, Josiah.
So how exactly is like printing something different than like a return?
Very good question. Very good question. What is the difference between printing and returning? Okay. So printing will always go to your screen. Every time you print something, it will go to your screen. Okay. But returning something may go to another object. Okay. We will see that more clearly here.
Can you say return to somewhere?
No, we don't say the destination, unfortunately. Okay, we cannot say the destination. We just need to say return whatever value, whatever object, whatever data we want to return, but we cannot say the destination. Okay? Now the destination is implied. The destination is implied by the object who requests the method count your money. Okay? So if this let me draw a picture here. John, and I have another one, Ed. So when you instantiate John, that's how we instantiate an object. We have to call the constructor. The constructor requires no parameter, so you don't see anything inside the parentheses, right? Okay, and unfortunately, the name of these two people are what is the name of John? Is it?
New person?
The name of John is Alden. The name of Ed is Alden, right? Is there a way to change the name? Can we change the name of this object? We want to call John John. We don't want to call Ed Edward, right? But the design is kind of imperfect. Okay, but I'm going to talk about that later. But then now, when I say John dot count your money, okay, so that's how I'm sending a message, count your money, to the first object, John. Okay, but because of the return type float, then on return, I'm going to get a number. So that number will go to n. Okay, so the destination is implied. The destination is implied by whatever you write on the left-hand side. Okay? So, any question about destination? Did I answer a question?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, let's continue with borrow money from. Now, this you will see how an object can interact with another object. Okay? So when I ask Dave, hey Dave, borrow money from Allison. So I'm sending a message to Dave, but then Dave will interact with another object, right, to get money. Okay? I don't interact with Allison directly, but I interact directly with Dave, but Dave will ask Allison to do something for him. Okay? So that's what we're going to do here. Okay? But before I can write borrow money from, I have to complete give me some money. Why? Because when I ask Dave to borrow money from somebody else, then he will send that object, hey, give me some money. Right? Okay? So let's complete this method. Give me some money. So when I ask a person to give me some money, and I need to say the amount, because it doesn't make sense just to say, give me some money, and then you have to ask, well, how much? How much do you want? Right? It's different from give all your money, right? So when I ask like, give all your money, I don't really care how much you have, just give me all. Okay? So the difference between these two are slightly very minor, but let's write the logic of give me some money. Okay? What will go into the body of this method? If I ask some money from a person, that request will change the state of the object, right? Okay? Make sense? So what do I need to update here? Money in pocket will go down. Exactly, right? Money in pocket will go down because then we know that the state of the person is name and money in pocket, right? So when we ask that person, hey, give me some money, then the amount in money in pocket will go down by how much? By amount. So then we will say money in pocket will go down by amount. Okay? So that's the shorthand notation. If you don't remember what it does, it's basically the same as the longer syntax of using subtraction, money in pocket minus amount. Okay, so you can use one or the other. Okay, the first or the second, but I want you to be familiar with the second syntax because you will see that a lot. Okay? Question. So we update the state of our object by taking out some amount from our pocket. But now, what should be the return type of that? Float. Float. Okay, float. Now, what should we return? We know that as soon as you see a float there, we know that this method requires a return statement. Are you with me? What should I write after return? Amount. Exactly. Make sense? Okay? So now I have this method completed. So now I can now fill in the blank of my borrow money from. Okay? So tell me what to write here. Yes, Josiah.
There is an A in money in pocket in the give me some money class.
Okay?
Oh, it's counted.
Are you asking me about this instance variable?
No, there was just a typo.
Typo where? Did
We'll
I?
come to that, so.
Is there any where's the typo?
Oh, it's in the comments, money in pocket. I didn't realize it was counted.
Yeah, it is commented out.
Sorry.
Yep. Okay. So let's write the body of borrow money from. Okay. So this is like the body, and this is the body of the method, and this is the body of the method. So we have 4 methods or 5, including the constructor, and each method requires the body. So body is basically the logic of that method. Okay. So tell me what to do with borrow money from. So now the story is I'm sending a request to one object to borrow money from another object. right? So tell me what to write.
Money in pocket minus how much, then money in pocket plus 2 person.
Money in pocket
Minus how much,
minus how much?
then the next command would be like money in pocket plus, or no, person plus how much, whoever you're giving it to.
What is the name of the other person?
Lender. Except lender, like the first part, money in pocket, needs to go away. Lender just needs to be added. No, you're good. Like the top one was good.
Oh, okay. The top one is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the lower money in pocket needs to be lender plus how much? Like,
Like that?
like lender needs to be on the left-hand side of the equation.
Like that?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about this. Emily, you shake your head.
Isn't it you borrow money from, so you're asking from the lender, so you're adding money in your pocket?
Yes.
My bad.
You're adding money in your pocket by how much? By how much? Right? So, instead of subtraction, we want to add, right? Okay? We want to add. Okay? So we want to add. But that will happen to lender.
He'll lose that much money.
Lender, hey lender, I need you to do something for me. Right? Okay? Lender, I need to. Hey lender, what should we tell lender? Hey lender, when you borrow money from your friend, what do you ask him or her?
Give me some money.
Give me some money. Exactly. Right? So lender, give me some money. Okay? And when we tell that person, hey lender, give me some money, we have to tell the amount. Right? We have to tell the amount. I'm making a mistake here.
How much?
How much? Exactly. Although you see amount here, we don't use amount. Why? Because, okay, anything you see inside parentheses is local. Anything you see inside parentheses is local, only local to that method. You cannot use that name outside that method. Okay? So how much is local only to borrow money from. You cannot use how much outside that method. Okay? So I want you to see the concept of local variables versus instance variables. These two variables are instance, and they are visible anywhere in any methods in this class. Okay? So that's why we say name. Name here refers to the instance variable. Money in pocket refers to money in pocket instance variable. Okay? But anything in parentheses is local. So I cannot use amount, but I have to use what? Tell me what to write.
How much?
How much? Exactly. Okay, question. I know this is kind of the next level of understanding the concept of arithmetic and interacting between two objects. Any question? Yes.
Is the like you call the constructor the one with the same name as the
Mhm.
But is it like actually any different, or is that just like the one that you call? Is it just different because you call it that?
That's the syntax requirement of Java. So the constructor has to be the same name as the
So
method,
is
the
it
class
like
name.
kind of like the main one where you write like most of your,
What do you mean by main?
like the one where you would call these functions or these methods?
Okay, so how do we call these methods? So then you have to write another class, okay? And so let me show you how to write the other class, and I'm going to create another class. Let's call it person test. Okay, let's call it person test. And my person test is just a class with one main method. You know how to write the main method? Okay, public static void main string array arguments, and so now I can start writing the code that I have here. So now I want to create a person object. I will say person John, person add, and then I will instantiate new person. Okay, and then I can instantiate add new person. Okay, so now I can say control space works. I just press control space. Okay, and then BlueJ will automatically give you list of possible methods that you can call, right? So now I can say, hey, add borrow money from John, or John borrow money from Ed. Okay, now I can say borrow 500 from Ed. Okay, question? So now let's put some number that we can check easily. So I'm going to change the initialization. Instead of 1 billion, let's start with 1100. Okay, so let's start with 1100. So then we can check whether the output is correct. Okay, so now we can say the initial state of the object is 1100, and now when I say John, count your money, and then Ed, count your money. Okay, and after that, if I ask Ed or John to count your money, and I ask Ed again to count your money, then you will see the updated numbers after and before. Before or after, I should say.
Do these just talk to each other automatically?
Yes. Yes. You make the two objects talk to each other. How? By writing the sequence of statements in your main.
Okay.
So now you're in charge.
Okay.
You're the manager of everything, right? You instantiate an object Ed, you instantiate another object John, and you tell John to talk with Ed. Okay? So let me comment out this, maybe just, I'm going to put float for now. Okay, so then we can run, and then I will just return 0 for now. This is not correct, okay? But let's run. If I run person test, compile, up, how much? This borrow money from is not perfect yet, but I just want to show you that it works so far. So now if I run person test, what is missing? New line. Okay? So, but you can see, well, let's fix the output. It's ugly. Because I'm using system printf. Oh, I'm using printf, sorry. Okay, let's use printf then. Okay? So, this is how I use printf. So I show you how to use printf with integer value. Now if I want to print pocket, I misspelled pocket. If I want to print a floating point number, then I want to use %f. Okay? So let's step back. So remember when you are using printf, you have to put % something, %d, %f, %s, %l, whatever. Okay, why f? Because I'm printing a float value. That's why I'm using %f. Okay? So then whatever the value of money in pocket will replace my %f on output. But now because I'm printing currency amount, I want to print using 2 decimal places. So that's why I say .2f. Okay? So .2f is to tell printf, I want to show only 2 decimal places. 2 digits after the decimal point. And with printf, you have to manually place the cursor on the next line if you want to. And I have to use \n. \n will place the cursor on the next line. So if I now run my person test, then you will see the output in 4 different lines. Yes. Is that correct? Initially, both of them have 1100, but once you borrow money from the other, then one will go up by 500, the other will go down by 500. Right? Question? Yes, Dave.
Regarding the printf statement, we sent a float into the statement.
Yep.
%f.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to send a double into there? I was looking for that the other day. I couldn't figure it out. Is there like a double placeholder?
You can use %f.
You can
Same.
okay.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So %f works for float and double.
Great.
Yeah. Any other question? Okay. So now we know that give me some money. Okay, so I want you to understand this part. This is the important part here. This is not in your textbook. Okay, so I'm kind of a little bit ahead from the textbook. Okay, but this is how we can create a program that interacts with another object, right? So why do I have to say dot? Well, because I'm sending another request. I'm sending a request to another object. We call it lender. Hey, lender, give me some money. And I need to say how much to give me, right? And then who will receive that money? Who is the target? Do we have a target here?
Whoever calls the method.
Whoever object that calls that method. Exactly. Okay? But we know that gives me some money will return a number, right? I don't use that number here. So maybe what I can do is I can now create a local variable. Again, I'm using this important word, local variable. Okay? Okay, I call it from lender. And what I want to do is whatever the amount returned by lender will go into from lender. Okay? And instead of adding money in pocket by how much, I want to add with from lender. Question? So again, more technical term, from lender is a local variable. This is not instance. That's why I don't use private when I declare my local variable. And why that name is local? Because you can only use from lender only inside that method, nowhere else, just inside that method. That's why we call it local.
Could you put that in the note, like a little note?
Later, when you look at the video, in my video, I will put like annotation. So what? Because sometimes I point to the board, but you don't see what I'm pointing if you watch the video, right? So I will put boxes. I will put my comments in there. Yeah. I'm not a professional video editor, but I try my best. Okay, question. Okay, yes, Josiah.
What was money in pocket? I missed
Money in pocket is instance variables. So the comment is generated by BlueJ. At the top, those two variables are instance variable name, and money in pocket are instance variables. Okay? Yes, Nick.
Like, sort of unrelated, but how do they talk to each other?
How do they talk to each other?
The two different classes.
Yes. Okay, let me put main and person side by side so then you can see. So here, my main, this is the starting point of everything. Main, right? Main is the starting point of everything. So then I instantiate two objects. First I declare.
Just
Okay.
like you declare like color, right?
Yep, exactly. But now instead of color, instead of graphic, instead of something, now you are declaring your own class.
Would you have to import like?
Good question, good question. Do we have to import? The answer is no. Okay, why? Because we place person in the same folder,
Okay.
in the same project.
So it can read
Unlike the Java library is not in your folder, in your project folder, but it comes from the Java library. So that's why we have
So
to use
if they were in
import.
separate folders, it would work.
There's a technique how to handle that, but for now, I will answer no.
Okay,
Okay?
gotcha.
Good question. We don't have to say import. Okay? And then after we instantiate the two objects, then we start to tell these objects what to do. Right? I tell John to count your money, and I tell Ed to count your money, and then I tell John to borrow money from Ed.
So this is the instructions for the person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay? So whenever I tell John count your money, then so let me put an arrow here. Where is count your money? My screen is too small. Let me change the font to a smaller type. So we start from here. This is the starting point, okay? And you start, and the first thing is to call the constructor. So then the next line run by your computer will be the constructor. Okay, so it will go to the constructor, and the constructor is done, and then it will go back here, and then the second constructor is called again. Call the constructor again. The constructor will return here, and now you will continue to calling count your money. When we call count your money, it will go here, right? And it will run inside count your money. Then it will say return. Return means I'm done. Okay? So return has to be the last statement run by a method. Okay, let me repeat that. Return is always the last statement run by a method.
So the other
I said the word run. I didn't say where it is. Okay? I didn't say where it is. Okay? Return is always the last statement run by a method. Yes?
Can you return more than one variable?
You can't, unfortunately.
So you don't need them in the other methods return? You got it in the one. So
Yeah.
You don't need it in the other.
Right. So when you see a return here, it will return, and then it will return to there. Continue the second call to count your money, and then call that again.
So
Okay.
borrow money doesn't need one.
Borrow money is here, right? So then it will go to this method, do whatever it has inside, okay? And then when you are done with that, and then it will go back there and continue. So do you see that? The sequence, you start from main, but it will do something inside the person class,
So
back
count
here.
your money, like the return throws it back, right?
The return from,
statement, yeah, from money in pocket
Yeah.
throws it back to this.
Okay?
So why doesn't it need one on borrow money to return it back to the other program?
Because this is void.
Okay.
Because borrow money is a void method.
Would you need it for the other float methods then?
Yes, we do. So this is a float method, and we have a return statement. And this is a float method, we do have a return statement.
Okay.
Right? This is a float method, and we do have a return statement. But this is a void method, and we don't need a return.
Okay.
Okay? Question? Yes?
Kind of more generally, we did 2 Java files here. We're going back and forth
Yep.
between those 2
Yep.
Java files.
Mhm.
Could we have done all the methods, the main method and all the ones we added, could we do those in the same Java file, in the same class, instead of doing like person test and then just person, just do it all in person?
We can have only one main.
Okay.
Okay? So if you want to put the main inside person, that works. Okay, but the common coding style for Java programmers is to separate the main in another class. We don't normally we don't want to put the main inside our model, our class file.
Can we
Separate.
create 2 different classes in the same Java file?
No,
Okay.
good question. We cannot. We cannot. In Java, the name of the class and the name of the file has to match.
Okay.
So when you create a person class, the name of the file is person.java. When you create person test class, the name of the file is person test.java.
Yeah.
So we cannot put 2 classes in one file, only one class in one file.
So when we do projects and things like that, we'll be submitting multiple Java files to you
Yes,
probably?
yes.
Okay.
For instance, for project 2, you have to submit 2 files. Okay, the test file and the video kiosk.
Great.
Yes,
So the test file is going to be like that. And it's going to
Yeah.
call all the variables
Yep.
from that one.
exactly.
Alright.
Okay? Any other question? Yes?
At the bottom, when it prints, or it has John counts your money and Ed counts your money.
Yep.
Both the function prints money in pocket for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So is there like actually like 2 money in pocket?
Yes,
there?
exactly. Exactly. Because now we have 2 objects, right?
Yeah.
These 2 objects are independent, Ed and John. Okay? If you're Ed, if I'm John, if I buy something, I don't get money from you. I will use my own money. I mean, I have to use my wallet and then pay from my pocket. But it's not going to affect your money.
So like when you construct John and Ed, that's when they're both made, both of the money in pocket variables?
Yes. Yes. So, good question. Very good question. I like your questions. So now in picture, imagine we have one object, okay? And we call it John. Why this object has 2 boxes? Because you see 2 instance variables, right? The first instance variable is name, and the second instance variable is money in pocket. So that's the first object. So this is John, okay? We know that money in pocket is initialized to 1100, and we know that name is initialized to Alden. The way we construct the person object currently, name is always Alden and money is always 1100. Okay? And we do have another box, we call this Ed, and Ed is also pointing to an object, and name is always Alden, and money in pocket is initially 1100. Okay? So those 2 variables are independent. That's why we call them instance variable, because this variable name is part of this instance. This is like an instance of an object, a person object. This is another instance. That's why those 2 names are instance variables. Whenever you do something with that variable, money in pocket, it's not going to affect the other money in pocket, because those 2 objects are independent. Okay? Questions? Yes.
How would you write the program to start off with different names and money pockets?
Good question. Good question. So we don't want to use the constructor. The constructor is limited, right? How do we allow creating another person of a different name? Okay. What should we do? Yes.
Is it possible to have a scanner ask you what the name would be for as you make it?
How? Tell me what to write. I want to change my constructor, right?
Yeah.
I want to change my constructor. What should we do?
I don't know if this works.
I'd make two new methods.
2 new methods?
Set name and set.
Okay, good. Public, void, you'll say set name. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yes.
Okay, and what are we going to do inside set name?
You need to take values.
Exactly. The method set name must take a value, right? Because basically I'm telling, hey, object, change your name to something, right? Okay. Or let me call it change your name to. Let me make it verbose. Okay. So let me change that, and what do I do inside the body of this method? Name equals n. Okay? Is that a good thing to do? This works, okay, but when you're born as Tim, you will be Tim for your entire life. They'll typically change name, okay? But money in pocket will change a lot. Okay, so this is an example of this property should be like static. It shouldn't change a lot. Name should not change frequently. But money in pocket will change quite frequently. Okay, so it works, but I think it's a bad idea to have this method change your name. Okay, a better technique is to pass the name as a parameter of your constructor. Okay, why? Once you construct an object, then that name will stay forever. So now if I do that, now I need to change the way I instantiate. Okay, the way I instantiate a person object will change now, because now every time you invoke the constructor requires a string. Where is my constructor here? The constructor requires a string value supplied to initialize the name. Okay?
Could you put a second parameter for a body of pocket?
You may add as many parameters as you like.